weighing 268 pounds, Dick Murdoch. And from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, weighing 236 pounds, Steve Hall. Referee Joe Tangaro.
Dick Murdoch makes his presence known to Mickey Garagiola. Some complaint with Mickey. Now Murdoch tells Steve Hall to take that and wait a minute until he's ready.
And he is here.
What's he mad at you about, Mick?
When he gets introduced, you don't want nobody else introduced, just him.
Just him. How does he think his opponent will be introduced, I wonder? And his opponent today is Steve Hall, who has quite a bit of work cut out ahead of him, but an arm drag by Hall quickly puts Dick Murdoch on the mat.
I like that little hairdo. Look at the way he's got it combed nice.
Combed real nice. What's because he's in St. Louis?
Yeah, like a little Boy Scout.
With his unfavored promoter, Sam Muchnick.
By all means.
Boy, there's a feud that's lasted for some time. As far as Dick Murdoch is concerned, Sam Muchnick has gone out of his way to do everything to deter, to hold back, to slow down the career of Dick Murdoch. Of course, Murdoch also says, I'll take on anyone. Well, Sam Muchnick has taken him at his word. And that's why Dick Murdoch has a match coming up with Andre the Giant. 465 pounds, 7'4", going head-to-head, 1-against-1 with Dick Murdoch. Of course, Murdoch and Nature Boy Ric Flair recently won an all-in team match from Andre and Rocky Johnson. And Murdoch certainly showed no fear of Andre. He went right in there, tore into Andre, and they had quite a Donnybrook both in and out of the ring, while Flair was managing to pin Rocky Johnson. Murdoch with a side headlock on Steve Hall. Hall tried to pull back Murdoch's chin, but couldn't do it. Murdoch even now is complaining right now about Sam Muchnick. He says, what is this, part of a conspiracy from Muchnick? He wanted to know how come referee Joe Tangaro wouldn't get down and count the shoulders of Steve Hall.
He keeps hollering, where's old man Muchnick? Old man Muchnick. What does he mean, old man Muchnick? About Sam's age.
I'm going to tell Dick Murdoch you said that.
You will, and you and I, the partnership is gone.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Dick Murdoch may yell, and he may complain, and he may gripe about Sam Muchnick, but he's always willing to come to St. Louis because he knows this is where the very best are. He knows where the #1 promoter in the world is. And you heard Dick Murdoch right there saying, boy, it's good to be back in St. Louis as he pounds on Steve Hall. Murdoch yanks Hall out to the center of the ring. There is one tough customer, Dick Murdoch. They don't come any tougher than Murdoch. Believe me. And he can wrestle. He can get down there. He knows the holds, but his personality is so explosive, so belligerent, so rambunctious. Hall, with a good move, catches Murdoch in a head scissors. Murdoch trying to kick his way out of trouble, but Hall has the head gripped too securely. Hall balancing up on one knee, and you can hear the muffled cries of Dick Murdoch. Hall applying extra pressure to the head of Murdoch.
I tell you, this Murdoch can wrestle for 20 minutes and give you a 20-minute commercial at the same time.
He's yelling, talking. That's just the way the guy is. That's no put on from Murdoch. That's the way Dick Murdoch is. He's an outgoing, totally unpredictable, never quiet individual. You just never know what to expect from him. He's unpredictable. Well, one thing you can't predict. More often than not, he's going to win. You look at that record, and he has taken on all the top stars all around the world, and he's scored victories. He is definitely a top contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm sure that Andre the Giant recognizes that Murdoch is certainly a threat to Andre's reputation, too, because Murdoch will do anything, absolutely anything, to get a victory over Andre. Knee lift to the stomach by Murdoch. Hard kick to the chest by Murdoch as he pops Steve Hall. Murdoch pounding on the face of Steve Hall. Joe Tangaro cautions Murdoch to keep that hand open. And there goes Steve Hall through the ropes to the apron. And here comes Murdoch outside the ring after Hall. A kick to the chest by Murdoch. He grabs Hall. And Hall slammed into the press table by Murdoch. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Murdoch's learned a few things from Dick the Bruiser, too, and that's a long-running feud as Steve Hall tries to regain his composure outside the ring. Joe Tangaro trying to keep Murdoch back. The crowd begins chanting Bruiser and Andre. Murdoch twists Hall around, drives an elbow into the throat. An elbow into the throat by Murdoch, who's pounding on Steve Hall.
5 minutes have elapsed, 15 minutes left.
Murdoch again with an elbow to the chest that time of Hall, and Hall is knocked off the apron to the floor as Murdoch is battering Steve Hall. Can you imagine what's going to happen when Murdoch tries those tactics on Andre the Giant? Hall slowly through the ropes, and Murdoch right on top of him, pounding Hall in the head. Murdoch bangs on the head of Steve Hall. Flying mare by Dick Murdoch. Hard stomp to the jaw. Murdoch driving 268 pounds into the head of Steve Hall, and then Murdoch with a chin lock pulls Hall's head back over the knee. Look where Murdoch's knee is, right in the neck, so that Murdoch can apply full pressure as he yanks back on that chin. What misery Steve Hall's in, but Hall throws a punch. Another punch by Hall. Hall's head is off the knee of Murdoch. Hall trying to get up, but Murdoch hangs on with a lot of power, a lot of strength right there. And now Murdoch goes to work on Hall, pounding on the face of Steve Hall. Well, Hall paid for punching Murdoch right there. Look at Murdoch, almost with one arm, shades of King Kong Brody there a little bit. Murdoch lifted Hall so easily. Murdoch dominating the action. Hall whipped to the ropes. Murdoch with an elbow underneath Hall's chin. Murdoch taking time to luxuriate in it right now. He knows he's in command. He hooks Hall's head, setting him up for that standing suplex, the Texas Brainbuster, as Murdoch calls it. Murdoch driving the head backwards into the mat, then Murdoch coming up on top of Hall, and Dick Murdoch runs roughshod over Steve Hall. The crowd hoots, hollers, and barks at Bulldog Bob Brown. This guy could go into the quietest room in the St. Louis area and start all sort of trouble. Bulldog Bob Brown and Bruce Reed tie up. Reed forces Brown to the ropes. Why don't you break it up, complains Brown to referee Joe Tangaro. Brown's the only guy who can start an argument with himself, I think.
And get answers, too.
Yeah, that's the problem. Bulldog Bob Brown reaches out and slaps Bruce Reed. Reed says, you want a box? Brown says, I just slapped him. My hand was open, and he complains to Tangaro. Tangaro says, let's wrestle.
Five minutes left, 5 minutes.
5 minutes remain. It's most falls to curfew. Reed and Roberts against Brown and Anderson. Side headlock by Reed on the Bulldog. Reed yanks that head around and around and around. Here comes Jerry Roberts. Reed and Roberts tagging off very well. And Roberts bounces ahead of the Bulldog. Brown forced down to one knee by Jerry Roberts. Roberts twisting that head. You know, we've seen a couple of interesting tag team combinations today. One, of course, the Kelly twins. Now two youngsters in Reed and Roberts. But how about that one coming up? Spike Huber and Dick the Bruiser together for the first time in St. Louis. Dick the Bruiser and his son-in-law. Spike Huber against a pair of guys who can break the scale, Buzz Tyler and Ox Baker. Buzz comes in around 323, Ox Baker at 308. Spike Huber's going to be the littlest guy in that ring, but I don't think it bothers Spike when it comes to fire and spunk and determination. Spike Huber gives nothing away to anyone. Spike Huber and Dick the Bruiser, father-in-law, son-in-law, together for the first time in St. Louis against Tyler and Baker. What a card that is, top to bottom. And, of course, everyone eligible for that Wrestle Royal. 16 of the 18 men on the lineup will be in the Wrestle Royal, all in the ring at once. The side headlock of Bruce Reed on Bulldog Bob Brown seems to be doing the job so far. There's a guy with a tremendous physique, Bruce Reed, a native of St. Joseph, Missouri. He's leaning over the top of Brown, trying to force Brown's shoulders down for a pin. Brown toying with the idea of grabbing the hair, but Tangaro slapped the hand away. Brown pulls the hair. Tanguero stops him. Reed still has the side headlock on the Bulldog. Here comes Jerry Roberts. Side headlock by Roberts. Works for Reed. Roberts will try it. Remember, most falls to curfew. Whichever squad has the most falls when time expires will be the winner. Hey! Drop kick by Jerry Roberts. Pull that one out of the hat, and Anderson won't tag. That's not going to make Bulldog Bob Brown any too happy. Anderson wouldn't tag Bulldog Bob Brown. I think Anderson was a bit shook up by that drop kick from Jerry Roberts. He saw how quickly and easily Roberts took to the air. And Brown definitely has been thrown off balance. Brown and Roberts circle. Brown leans into Roberts against the ropes.
2 minutes left, 2 minutes.
Roberts leapfrogged over the top. Anderson again, refusing to tag Bulldog Bob Brown. Roberts offers to let Anderson into the ring. What's wrong with you? And Bulldog Bob Brown complains at Anderson. Anderson doing a lot of yelling, but no tagging. Bulldog Bob Brown must feel alone. Brown very cautious as he comes to grips with Roberts, then lashes out with a boot to the stomach and a punch to the cheek. Hard chop to Roberts. Bulldog can take care of himself. Don't kid yourself. Roberts reeling after that slash to the throat. Another chop, and down goes Jerry Roberts. Roberts slams headfirst into the top turnbuckle.
1 minute left, 1 minute.
Less than a minute remaining, no falls yet. Roberts reverses the whip. Drop kick by Jerry Roberts. This time Anderson makes the tag. Anderson crawling up on the rope. The tag has been made. Anderson with the atomic drop misses. Anderson missed an atomic drop and hit Bulldog Brown. And Brown takes a kick at Tiny Anderson. Brown insists that Anderson, and Brown punches Tiny Anderson in the head. Anderson refused to tag, and then when he did, hit Brown with an atomic drop. Roberts and Reed just waiting. Brown lifts Anderson. Body slam by Bulldog Bob Brown, his own tag team partner. Roberts comes flying off the rope with a drop kick. Roberts covers Anderson.